Hello, it's Melanie here. We're doing an Amplify Live today, so I am looking forward to hearing any questions you have come up. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what your goals are for the next 90 days. But I want to talk today about the secret to six-figure leveraged income. And here's why. We've been doing a lot of meetings with new clients, and we've had quite a few people joining different programs. And one thing that's on everybody's mind is, how do I work less and make more in my business? So I'm not sure if you have that same question, if you are also looking for ways to grow your business without having to work more hours. But I thought what I could do today, hey Morgan, is share some of the different tools and resources and basically like the shift in ideology that you need to go through in order to really make six figures with leverage. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about what leverage is. And I just realized I did not turn on my lights, so I might look a little dark. Sorry about that. We've got a bunch of rain here today, so we've got a lot of, it's really dark. So, leverage is something that I think a lot of people hear about, but maybe they don't always know what they're supposed to do. And maybe you're trying different things and it hasn't been working. So let's talk the truth about leverage. What is it going to take? And, how maybe you can integrate some of this leverage into your business. So one of the things that I think happens is we don't really know what leverage really is. And I want to share a little bit about what I see leverage really is and how it can work for you in your business. And there's a difference between leverage and growth and scaling. And so drawing some of these distinctions might really help with you being able to set your sights on the right growth strategy for you. And I saw this distinction somewhere, I don't remember where it was, but I thought, God, that's totally it. And that is the difference between growth, leverage, and scaling. So growth basically means you are growing your business revenues at the same level of capacity, at the same cost profile that you're at right now. So basically you grow the revenue, but the costs grow with it. And if you can probably imagine, that's not sustainable for very long because after a while, you're going to hit the level at which you're going to start losing money, and or you cannot continue to grow at the same rate that your costs are growing. And let's face it, who wants to keep growing the costs with the level of growth of the business? And so the next stage would be leverage. And the way I like to define leverage is you're able to automate, or you're able to go from like a one-to-one to a one-to-many, and you're not necessarily increasing the costs at the same rate that you're increasing your revenues. Okay, so leverage basically means you can use a tool, you can use technology, you can capture your talent in a way that allows you to exponentially deliver it, but you're still involved. Okay, at leverage, in some way, shape, or form, you're still involved. So it may be the one-to-many, you're still creating it, you're still delivering it, but there's just a much more impact and income available to you based on the effort you're putting in. I am a huge leverage fan. I always like to say that leverage is one of my love languages because I find that leverage is the thing that really can move the needle the fastest on my business. But it's also oftentimes misunderstood. People don't really use leverage properly. And so it creates cash flow issues. It creates disappointments. People get frustrated. I don't know if you can relate to that. Can you? So the next stage is scaling. And we're not going to talk about scaling today, but I just want to draw the picture because for some people, this really is the next step for you. And scaling basically means that you can grow exponentially, but you no longer have to be in the middle of it. So think of it like you're the hub of a wheel, and in leverage, you're still in the middle of the hub, but in scaling, now you have actually removed yourself. So you no longer have to be in it in the day-to-day operations. You no longer have to be in it from the, I have to touch it in order to make money. And scaling is really where a lot of time freedom comes from and a lot of massive growth comes from. This is where, like, if you want to grow an empire, we're going to have to look at scaling. if you want to have like a global impact, you're going to have to scale. So scaling basically means that at some level, you can move the needle, you can get programs out there, you can deliver things without ever having to touch it anymore. And so the kind of the backbone for scaling is systems that allow your ideology or your technique to be delivered without you delivering it. So it really takes you out of the day-to-day. It takes you out of the I have to touch it to generate it, like to move that lever. So an example of leverage versus scaling, leverage might be a group coaching program where you're still delivering, but you're doing that one-to-many. And scaling would be you have basically taught someone else, maybe through a like a certification program or some kind of train the trainer. You're actually getting other people the knowledge and still generating revenue from it, but now they're out there delivering it in the world without you. So I'm curious, as you're listening in, whether you're doing it live right now or you're doing it later, is there a level that you see yourself? Are you in growth? Are you leveraging, or do you think it's time to scale? So I want to talk about some of the ways we leverage, and I'm going to just move my screen over a little bit here and get into the light a little bit better. So what are some of the secrets around this? And the first secret is the right timing. So here's a little known fact. You can actually try to leverage your time and energy at the wrong time. And I want to basically get really crystal clear and paint this picture for you, is that you do not want to create leveraged offerings if you do not have any clients. So in the beginning, it might be the way, so if you're not full, basically let's put it this way, if you're not full of clients right now, you should not be trying to create a leveraged offering. Yes, growth and leverage, Morgan's saying, excited for my time back. Yes. If you are full and you can't take on any more clients, you've literally capped out your income, now's the time to start looking at leveraged offerings. So what do you do if you're not full, you don't have the clients, but you really want to start like having more income coming in for the time that you work? One of my favorite things to do is start with some kind of packaged offering. And I'm going to give you a tip. If you do not yet have your Revenue Rush toolkit, you want to go get it at yourrevenuerush.com. And I want you to look at the technique of front loading your payment. Basically mean you create packages that you charge pay in full rates and get people to pay in full with a slight discount to front load the revenue. It's a great way to start leveraging your time, get people committed to bigger programs, and not be tied to that one-on-one hour. So you want, if you're still basically selling an hour of your time, one at a time, this is the next step for you. But if you are in a place where you've maxed out, so a few years back I had a client, he was in the dating world, he was a coach, and he was tapped out, like he was making like about $250,000 a year, and he couldn't make any more money because he couldn't work any more hours, and he was starting to get burned out, and he was starting to feel that frustration of, okay, like I'm overwhelmed, and I'm not really getting anywhere close to my revenue goals. What do I do? And so, yes, we could have raised his rates, and we did push his rates up a little bit, but really at that step, what's happening next is you need a way to leverage your time. And so, full disclosure, he hated every idea I gave him in the beginning, right? Like he resisted every single thing I told him. And I challenged him to implement one thing, and we implemented a group training program. And he was so blown away at the results. What ended up happening was he went from like being stuck at 250,000 to making double that revenue the first year, just introducing this one training program where he could work with people in a group. And from that, he started to really recode his mindset to think in leverage. And that's secret number 2. So if you're not thinking in leverage, what's happening is you're not seeing opportunities that are already around you. And so I like to think, like I use this mindset called radical leverage. What are the craziest, most outrageous, most like out of the box ways that I can leverage my time, my talent, and my energy? And when I start to train my brain to look for leverage, what happens is I start to see opportunities to do something once, or to like use automation or tools or technology, or even to delegate or start going one to many, so that I'm no longer the only one that can move that idea forward. I'm basically getting out of the way and letting other people help me grow, or being able to create more income because some other way besides me delivering it, it can get out there in the world. Now, let me get to secret number 3. It's not always about creating a course. And this is a huge myth in the industry. I want to be the kind of the behind the scenes realist. What's happening right now is that online courses and digital products are not as popular, and they're not selling as well as they did at one time. There's hybrid versions that work really well. And what I mean by that is that there might be some leverage of you creating content that you use over and over and over again, but people are still going to want you involved. Now, that's not across the board for every single industry. There are some industries that are just peaking, right? They're just starting to get into this digital content. They're just starting to realize the value of online courses, and it's still kind of new and innovative, and people are like, oh yeah, this is cool, I like it. But for a lot of industries, it's kind of peaked and now saturated, and so it's not selling as well. So one of the things I tell people, before you decide what leverage strategy you're going to use to go from that one-to-one selling an hour of your time to exponentially growing your income, we need to really understand where your magic is. So what do you do well? Like where does the light bulb go off, and all the synergy happen, and the clients on the other side are getting, massive traction? Where is that integration of all of that awesome stuff happening? And how do your clients crave going through a process? Like, how do they crave transformation? How do they crave learning what you teach? And so what we have to do is find the intersection of those things, and then pick a way to go from one to one to one to many. And it may be, that we got to create a much greater price package. Hi, Trisha. Maybe we need to up the game in terms of revenue, in terms of what you charge for something. Maybe we need to get you out of just selling an hour of your time and create packages. But it may be time that you start having events, or like I do these private personal retreats. And sometimes I do group programs, but I'm still involved even though there's automated training that's available. So the key is we need to look for the right formula for you. So that's the secret number 3. And the next secret is literally just recognizing that leverage doesn't mean you never touch it. Leverage means you look for ways that when you touch something, it grows the revenue and the impact exponentially. And this is a little bit of a shift in mindset for some people, because they're thinking passive revenue, right? So passive revenue basically means you never touch it again. It's like you do something and then it just generates revenue. It's very rare that's going to happen in the coaching industry and the education industry, but it's possible. What we want to look for is, what are the ways in which you can actually be in the training, be in the concept of it, and then you're touching hundreds of people. So instead of making $100 every time you use that hour, you're making $1,000 or $10,000 or $50,000, right? And you're touching the lives of millions of people instead of 1 or 2 at a time. That's the shift that like this next secret is all about, is recognizing that it's not going to be about passiveness. It's not necessarily about doing it in a way that you never have to do that thing again. It's doing it in a way where you're pushing the needle forward exponentially. So leverage. Here's my challenge for you. How could you leverage your time, leverage your knowledge, leverage your energy 10 times more over the next 90 days? What's one thing you could put into action? Do you know what the different leverage styles are? Like, do you know if you want to do a group program, or do you want to do an online course of some kind? Are you going to have a live event? Are you going to have a package that's leveraging your revenue potential, but still maybe deliver it yourself? Or are you really ready to scale now? Like, what level are you at? What are you looking for? What can you take on? I would love to hear in the comments below, what are you going to do to challenge yourself with the leverage? What can you put into action? And do you need help with this? Is this something that you could use a little bit guidance on to figure this out for yourself and for your business? Let me tell you a couple resources, and then I'll leave you with one more tip. One level is the Own Your Bold Inner Circle. So we're going to be tackling this in an upcoming Own Your Bold Circle training. This month we're doing sales, like how to really like up your enrollments. Because of course, if you're going to sell packages, you got to know how to sell it, right? But we are going through the different levels of how to bring your revenue, bring your impact, and really start being a bolder force to be reckoned with in your industry. So that might be the right next step for you. You can check that out at ownyourboldcircle.com. The other option is, and this will not be for everybody, and full disclosure, I have 5 spots open. One's already been taken, and that is I have a special package this summer where I have a special rate where I'm going to be working with 5 people total to build out the launch and the offering of your next big thing, whatever that thing is. And if that's speaking to you, you're going to want to either message me below in the comments and make sure you tag me in it, or direct message me or email us in the office and let us know, Melanie, I'd really like to talk to you about that. That's feeling like that could be of value. I want to see if it's a good fit, and we'll set up a time to talk about it and see if it's a fit for you. But I can only take 5 people on because I'm pretty booked out, but I want to do this. Like, I've just been hearing from so many people, oh, I want to launch a podcast, but I don't know what to do. I have this video show idea and I can't get it off the ground. Or they want to launch a new program and they're scared and they don't know all the steps, right? Like, there's been a lot of conversation about it. So I want to create some space over the next few weeks to take on now 4 people, because 1 spot's already been taken, to help you, like, the next 6 months be the best 6 months of this year. Like, I want to help you grow your revenue exponentially by getting this idea, whatever it is, off the ground and out there making money. So what's my last secret around leverage? Here is it's like my most heartfelt piece of advice is, don't try to figure out how to do this alone. And whether or not you're coaching with me or you're in the inner circle or whatever you do, it may be that you need to hire a virtual assistant. It may be that you need to hire someone to help you with your messaging. I don't care what you do, but what I find is when you try to figure it out on your own, that's where the frustration stems from, because you're kind of circling around in the same thoughts and have the same approach. And sometimes it's just really helpful to get out of your own way and get someone else who's got some experience with this to bring some new energy, some new possibilities, some new ideas into the mix. So that's my last piece of advice is hire a coach, get into a program, or hire a virtual assistant or a marketing person, whatever you need. But hire someone to help you get this idea out of your head, get it out there in the world. And really, like, this is how 6-figure businesses and 7-figure businesses and 8-figure businesses are born, is you figure out how to grow, then how to leverage, and then ultimately how to scale. And you got to start somewhere. So start where you are. Go back and listen to the full description here if you didn't get to catch all of it, and really listen for where am I at and what's my next step, okay? So post any questions you have. I'm happy to do a follow-up. I want to hear what's up for you with leverage, and let's get you growing into 6 figures and beyond. All right, see you guys soon.